What is going on, everyone? So, rumor has it you might be considering making a move to lovely Minnetonka, Minnesota. You could not choose any better, my friend. My name is Chris. Today we are going to get out. We are going to get into Minnetonka, Minnesota. We are going to talk about what makes this community so special. This is one of the most desirable, this is one of the best suburbs to live in the entire Minneapolis and Twin Cities metro. So we are going to get started with our tour of Minnetonka today, and we are going to start at the Civic Center. And I decided to start here intentionally because Minnetonka is really all about community. Minnetonka did not become a formal city until 1968, which is when it was formally incorporated. It is a second ring suburb of Minneapolis, and it is about 8 miles just straight west of downtown Minneapolis. Population is going to be about 53,000, and this is definitely an upper end suburb, my friends. Median income, household income, is going to be about 120,000. What Minnetonka is really going to kick butt at is blending urban and nature. You can even see here just from where I'm standing, I'm dead center in the middle of Minnetonka at the city hall stop, and you can just see even here, even in the middle of the parking lot, trees. And that's how this whole community is. You will find pockets of green space, trails, bike trails, things like that all over. You're going to find little bodies of water, including the famous Lake Minnetonka, which we will touch on, around Minnetonka. So Minnetonka is really about healthy living. It is about community feel. Schools are some of the best in the state. We're going to touch on those here shortly. Quick note, if this is your first time stopping by our channel, thank you very much. My name is Chris, my business partner, Trevor. Team, we like to get out into the community, show you guys Minnetonka, show you guys some of these surrounding communities. So whether you are making a move in 1 week, 1 month, or 5 years, feel free to reach out, subscribe, bang that bell so you can stay up to date on the latest market information from Minnetonka. All right, so I just swung around back actually to the kind of the backside of the Minnetonka Civic Center, Community Center, City Hall, because it's a lot more than just a city hall. It's a complex. My two own little boys actually play soccer out here. I'm not raising any future professional soccer players, I don't think, but we try. But we play soccer here, and this facility is huge. There's multiple ice arenas. Not sure if you can see those behind me. There is, of course, the City Hall building. There's the fire department. The police department is located here. But I also wanted to show you the community center for a reason, and just that I think it's a good fit for everything else that Minnetonka stands for. They also do a movie in the park every week during the summer here. They do farmers markets. They have something called Summerfest for kids. They bring in a lot of music, all kinds of community events. There's a big bike ride that goes through Minnetonka every year called Tour de Tonka. So Minnetonka is going to be a community that is really strong in community spirit. What's going on, everyone? So we are at Ridgedale Mall in Minnetonka, which is just off of Highway 394. And Ridgedale and this whole area is going to be, in my opinion, probably the commercial center, the shopping center hub of Minnetonka. As we've talked about in some of our other videos, Minnetonka really does not have a centralized downtown, but this area around Ridgedale would be the place for shopping. So we're going to poke into Ridgedale, take a look. A couple things about Ridgedale. Ridgedale opened in 1974. It is the only mall in Minnetonka, but it is a really nice one. There was a renovation that wrapped up, I want to believe, right around 2017 to the tune of somewhere around $100 million. And you'll see, we're going to poke inside, but it's a very nice mall, very clean, what you'd expect. A lot of upscale retailers, dining options. You can see some here right behind me. We've got the Tavern Grill. Over my other shoulder here is Big Bowl. Great place if you like some Asian food. Also of note, there is Ridgedale Commons, which was installed just in the last couple years. And as is with the theme with a lot of things in Minnetonka, it's a great community gathering center. It brings a little green space, and they do farmers markets there, I believe, on Tuesday evenings in the summer. So let's get inside and check out Ridgedale. So as we're just taking our stroll through Ridgedale, the purpose is just to give you guys a little sense of this mall, give you guys a few ideas of what you might find in here. It's anchored by JCPenney, surprised they're still around, Nordstrom's, Macy's. Recently, Dick's House of Sport was added to the mix. So you'll find a lot of retailers you are familiar with. You'll probably find some that you are not as well. Just an interesting note, like if you are not from Minnesota and you are thinking about moving here, so what you will find in a lot of mall or indoor spaces in Minnesota is you'll find a lot of mall walkers. because things get cold here in the winter, or if you get a real rainy day. So places like Ridgedale, Southdale, and Edina, of course, the Mega Mall over in Bloomington, people will come to these malls. I think it's kind of funny just to get their steps in. There's nothing wrong with that. Big fan of getting your steps in, but it's a quirky cold weather thing if you're not used to it. I don't know, I guess I thought it was funny the first few times I saw people with their power walking shoes walking around the mall. So we're just rounding the corner. You can see we've got a Nordstrom's right behind us. And again, Ridgedale, if you want to go shopping in Minnetonka for department stores, things like that, if you want to grab a bite to eat, bring the kids and just walk around, get out of the house, Ridgedale is one of those places that's good to go. So that is our tour of Ridgedale. So we are gonna keep this video tour of Minnetonka going. We're gonna hop back into the car and get on to our next stop. We'll see you there. So I was a little hesitant to throw this part in there, but this is just my personality, and I would much rather just keep it real. That's who I am, than trying to be perfect. So I appreciate you guys that come back to our channel and watch these videos. As you can imagine, I have a team that helps me do these, and the piece of feedback I always get is smile more. And I have been told that my entire life. So I just want you guys to know, especially you guys that have seen me on more than one video, I suffer acutely from what I call RBF. This is resting bitch face. If I had $1 for every time in my life somebody walked up to me, they usually come up like real sheepishly and they're like, "Excuse me, why are you so angry all the time?" If I had $1 for every time that's happened to me in my life, I'd have a lot of dollars. So I just want you guys to know, I'm happy. I am smiling on the inside. The great Lord just apparently blessed me with a fantastic natural scowl. All right, guys, so I did want to hop out into one of these neighborhoods near Ridgedale just to show you what you might find as far as homes up in this area. We have this guy here behind me for sale. So just to kind of give you an idea of what you're going to get for your money, this home here is listed for $1.6 million. It's right about 5,000 square feet, 3 bedroom, 4 bathroom. It's going to put the cost per square foot on this one at, I believe, right about $325 per square foot. This is built in 1992 and it is on 0.8 of 1 acre. This is going to be very typical for the style of home you're going to find in these neighborhoods up near Ridgedale. You're going to be big homes, large lots, plenty of space from your neighbor. And you can see here all these homes as I just turn the camera around, as is the theme with Minnetonka again and again. Mature neighborhood, big trees, lots of character. I personally love it. If this is something you're into, Minnetonka is going to be a fantastic spot for you because there are pockets of homes like this tucked in. And again, 394 major freeway, half a mile that way. I can't hear it. You never know it's there. So I hope even on the drive up, you could begin to see the diversity in homes that you're going to find in Minnetonka. So we currently find ourselves basically right on the border of the Forest Hills Glen Lake neighborhood. And this is just one of these spots where I wanted to get out, show you another piece of real estate so you can begin to see, get an idea of prices and what might fit for your budget. But before we touch on that, same thing that applies all over Minnetonka. You have big lots around here, probably 1/3 of an acre on the small end, up to over an acre in some cases. So you're not going to have small lots. You see the big established trees, lots of space between your neighbor's home. I love that setup. This home right behind me is currently pending on the MLA. This home was built in 1964, as were a lot of these where we are right now. So it was built in 1964, 5 bedroom, 2 bathroom, about 2,800 square feet. And this is currently pending at $500K, which I think we're somewhere around $177 a square foot. So depending on where you're coming from in the country, $177 a square foot might be cheap, might be expensive. As you've seen, we've looked at some of these other neighborhoods. One of the other neighborhoods up by Ridgedale, I think we were at $376 a square foot. So significantly more affordable than that. So for $500K in Minnetonka, you can get yourself on the end of a nice little cul-de-sac, a 5 bedroom, 2 bath, seated on a half acre lot. We have moved down into basically the heart of the Glen Lake neighborhood in Minnetonka, which is right off Excelsior Boulevard, which is the main thoroughfare through the whole area, just trying to give you a little bit of a look around here. And this is how I would sum this up. So if you compare this area to the part of town up by Ridgedale, for example, this is gonna feel like a small town. We got a grocery store, another Lunds and Byerly's right across the street. You got a liquor store, you've got a few restaurants. Gold Nugget is a great place if you want to stop in for a quick bite, by the way. You got a dry cleaners, a liquor store, you've got a small gym, a pizza place, pet shop. There is Unmapped Brewing just up the street, which is become a super popular brewery. Lots of little breweries springing up. But this whole part of town feels like a small town. The shops are smaller, the pace of life is slower, and you don't really need to venture out into Minnetonka at large or the greater metropolitan area unless you want to. I would also say you have an opportunity to find homes that are going to be more in that $500,000 to $800,000 range, which, believe it or not, is affordable in Minnetonka around this Glen Lake neighborhood. It's going to be an area where real estate will probably be a bit cheaper. So just wanted to get out and show you guys this. I actually lived in this neighborhood for about 6 years. I love it. So we are going to pack it up from here. We are going to head over to the Minnetonka High School because the schools are certainly one of the things that stick out in Minnetonka. So we're going to get over there and chat about that. Do you like quiet strolls through the woods? If you do, Minnetonka is probably going to be a great place for you. I figured we'd stop off quickly on our way over to the high school. This is Purgatory Park. It is Minnetonka's largest community park. I believe it is 155 acres. A big central wooded area with a ring basically that goes around it for biking, running, and then trails that cut through the middle of it. And the whole central area, actually, I've talked about this in another one of our Tonka videos, but the whole middle area is also off-leash dog park. So it's a great spot for you dog lovers, right off Excelsior Boulevard. It's very convenient. And again, it's one of these parts of Minnetonka where you can be smack dab in the middle of a major metropolitan suburb, whatever you want to call it. But you can get out here, you cannot see any houses, you cannot see any other people. And I think this is also worth mentioning for all of these trails and parks and things like this in Minnetonka and even surrounding areas. We get this thing called winter here. There's probably going to be a pros and cons video at some point, and that sucker winter is definitely going to go in the cons. But if you live here, you got to deal with winter. So the cool thing about all these parks, these trails and whatnot in all of these parks, the vast majority are maintained year round. So if you can't get out and walk, you can get out and ski or do some fat tire biking, snowshoeing, things like that during the winter months. All right, so we are at Minnetonka High School, guys, and school is just about to get out. So I'm going to try and shoot this video fairly quickly so I don't get beat up by a bunch of unruly high schoolers coming out of school. But the Minnetonka School District is definitely one of the reasons. It is a reason people move to Minnetonka, is the schools all by itself. It is one of the most highly rated in the state. The district itself serves about 11,000 students. And what's interesting to note is it has one of the largest immersion programs in the state, the Minnetonka School District. With over 11,000 students, 3,000 are enrolled in either Chinese or Spanish language immersion learning programs. So that's pretty cool. Minnetonka High School graduates 99% of their students, and 90% of them are college bound. 90% of parents with students in the school say they are extremely satisfied with the school. So if that's a concern, why wouldn't it be if you're thinking about making a move? Great schools, one of the best in the state, one of the best in the nation by virtually every website you check out. You will love what you find with Minnetonka schools. I had to show you guys, this is the Lake Minnetonka Regional Trail. Actually starts in Hopkins, continues through Minnetonka out west. We'll get around Lake Minnetonka, and you can get way out into some of the outer ring western burbs. But this is too quintessential Minnetonka not to show you guys, because this is what they do and this is what it's all about. It's all about access to nature. It's all about walking trails, biking trails, taking advantages of the green space at which this community does oh so well. So you cannot have a video about Minnetonka and not have Lake Minnetonka in it. And that's what we are looking at, my friends. So this is Robbins Bay Beach on the westernmost edge of Lake Minnetonka. And if you are anywhere near the Twin Cities Metro, this is it. This is the lake. I don't care what anybody else says. Lake Minnetonka is the premier lake around the Twin Cities. It is about 14,500 acres. It gets over 100 feet deep at its greatest point. And it is really a series of very big bays and connected channels it's all very much one lake. But as you can see, it's really chunked up versus one big open lake. But this is the place to be. The homes on this lake are spectacular. You will be lucky to find a lot, and just a lot starting at $1 million. Homes here will get up into the tens of millions, 30, 40, 50,000 square foot, if you can believe it. I have looked at real estate in places like Fort Lauderdale, on some other places across the country that are high-end famous real estate, and the homes on Minnetonka will stand up with anybody. In the summer, this lake is banging. There's boating, jet skiing, fishing, any water sport you can name. People will gather, anchor their boats on a sandbar and hang out. So people will just come out here, get on their boats, float around, spend the days. If you got a buddy who lives on the lake, maybe you get over there, check them out, go see your next buddy, so on and so forth. The downside to Lake Minnetonka is the cost, just to state the obvious. As far as I am concerned, that is really the only downside, because it is a beautiful lake. Minnesota is land of 10,000 lakes, and Lake Minnetonka is just really, it's what Minnetonka is all about. It's the blending of the natural into the urban environment, and it's a fantastic space and place to spend a little time. So that is going to do it for our video tour today. There is a lot more to cover in Minnetonka, as you can imagine. I feel like we just scratched the surface, but it's a fitting place to wrap up with Lake Minnetonka behind us. My name is Chris. Again, thank you for joining us. If you have not, subscribe below. We can keep you up to date on what's happening in Minnetonka and all these cool suburbs around Minneapolis and St. Paul. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next one.